Hey, spooksters, you're listening to Home Bar Happy Hour, and this is our Halloween special episode. We're going to be talking about movies, we're going to be talking about destinations, we're going to be talking about haunted houses, and we are going to give you some of the best movie picks, some of the best music picks for your Halloween party, as long as some awesome Halloween memories between us. Let's roll, America.
All right. Happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you guys for stopping by Happy Hour. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are here to get spooky today. How are you doing today, Mike, on All Hallows Eve?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to...
I'm talking to you. I'm talking
Oh.
to
Well,
Chef Gus.
my homeboy Mike here,
Yeah.
he's my guardian here during these spooky nights.
Yeah, here to
But-
keep you safe from all the fornicating teenagers.
Yes, all those werewolves out there, all those animals out there marauding the countryside,
Right.
trying to break into the gulag, trying to get some cold beer.
Yeah.
But let's get right into it, Joe. This is all we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We're just talking about Halloween. That's it. So let's get right into it, Joe. We don't really get into too much ghosts and demons, man. Dude, how do you feel about that shit, man? I mean, that's probably the stuff that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. I am not. I like ghost movies. I like demon movies and stuff. That stuff doesn't scare me as much. I think it's a little more unsettling. I grew up outrageously Christian, Shiite Christian, like borderline Amish. My parents were like super into it. So we really got the demon stuff slammed down our throat the whole time. So that doesn't like scare me as much. Those are my favorite type of movies, I would say, in like the horror genre. I love like The Exorcist and Hereditary, things that involve demons. I just love those movies a lot. I actually find those movies more interesting. I like their themes. I find them, better movies, but I find like slasher movies actually scarier because those are the type of things that you see, all the time, right? Like serial killers or just someone like randomly murdering you. I find those a little, actually like a little scarier because you see those things in the physical realm. But as far as like ghosts, I'm not much of a believer. I've been on the ghost tours and stuff like that. They're just trying to, sell you a buck with tales of ghosts coming through here. I don't think there's any ghosts really haunting out there. I think when you die, you go somewhere different, but it makes for very fun cinema. And I enjoy those type of movies. What about you, Mike? I know you're a little freaked out by the supernatural, right?
So, it's all about what you believe. And I also am a Christian. I'm a Catholic, and so like, I just here's my thought on it is that I don't want to. I believe them as much as because I don't want to go out there and find out if they do exist. Because
Sure.
I don't need those motherfuckers attaching themselves to me.
No,
Like,
you don't want any attachments.
Yeah, I don't fuck around with Ouija boards and all that shit because I don't want to be. If it is real, and then I end up conjuring up some demon of the underworld, that shit's terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And really grab you by the horns.
Yeah, and it's like something that is something that you cannot. That's something that you cannot. That you can't stop if it is real. Like you can't stop it. Like you're going to die. Like not more like ghosts. Like ghosts like. Well, I'll tell you right now. I hear like if I hear a fucking noise or something like that, the hair on the back of my head stands up, and I'm like, who the fuck's in my house?
Yeah.
Who in my house? Little belly quote right there.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like it's, stuff, I was never allowed to play with Ouija boards, but it was that thing too, where like I had so many friends that like played with Ouija boards and would get freaked out. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think you guys are just like kind of messing around. It's like a shared consciousness thing, you know. All that stuff can usually typically be explained away. Um, to just mass hallucination or people kind of freaking out over little things. We went to, I know we'll get into a little bit, but I went to Gettysburg and did like a ghost walk a week or two ago. And we were like in this like old, you know, basement, and the girl was like doing the seance, and she's like, do you feel anything? And a girl was like, oh, I feel something, you know, a cold breeze coming through. And I'm like, yeah, this is a 400-year-old house. Like, you're going to feel cold breezes, you know, running through your ankles, you know.
I didn't come all the way in from Queens to sit in a drive-through restaurant.
Yeah, basically.
Frank, I'm cold. Order a hot dish. No, I'm the same way. It's just like people let their, it's what we were going about over the past episode. It's like people allow their fears to overcome it coerces them to think otherwise. They start seeing shit and stuff like that because they're immersed in that type of atmosphere and stuff. I'll tell you right now, somebody was doing a seance. No fucking way in hell am I coming over there. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I leave it alone. I don't want to find out. I have no interest in it. Just, it leaves me. It's the same way with going out into the wild. Like, you go out into the wild, dude, what do I go out into the woods? Most of the time, you would think that you go out into the woods out in the middle of fucking nowhere, like, you would see a fucking goddamn a deer all the time. No, you don't see shit. You don't see nothing. Does that make, I mean, everybody's got, like, you know, flash photography of, you know, killing deer and stuff, so that's like, and yes, I have killed a buck and a doe, but outside of that, you have photography and everything, so who's to say that, like, deer aren't, well, I mean, like, all right, so they are, you know, you don't know if they're fabricated or anything. You go to people's houses and stuff, you see shit. It's just like, oh, hey, look at this. I got a picture of a fucking ghost that was in my house. You know what I mean? So it's like similar, but you understand? Like, I have never seen a bobcat my entire life. Never.
Well, I mean, they're like out in California, right?
No, there's bobcats here.
Yeah, I've never ran into a bobcat either. I'd be happy to run into a. Well, no, I wouldn't. I don't really like cats. I definitely don't like big cats.
The whole thing is just that, like, yes, people have said that they like, but that's the same people. Like, I don't know them, and I have never seen a bobcat. I've never seen a mountain lion. I've never seen a Kodiak bear. You know, I've never seen a tiger.
Have you ever seen a rattlesnake?
Yes,
I saw a rattlesnake once when I was hiking.
But like,
that was scary. I don't like them bad boys.
You see it through video and picture, through camera and TV and stuff like that. So it, like, that's your documentation that it actually. But it's just like goes with UFOs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's like a very rare people only see this type of stuff.
It's typically a certain caliber of people too. I do find it odd that the aliens seem to only be capturing the trailer parks. You know, maybe let's, you know, get some of our brightest minds up there. I do believe in aliens.
Yeah, they are. I believe in them. I believe in them just like how I believe in spirits and demons and shit like that. I believe that there's an afterlife. I believe that there's a universe. Like, we cannot be the only planet in the entire cosmos.
Sure, I believe that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's got to be there's got to be an intelligent life out there, just like there's got to be some sort of purgatory or some sort. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what I believe. You know, like, what's so wrong about believing in Saint Nick? I'm 40 years old. Maybe I do believe in Saint Nick. Some motherfuckers eat my goddamn cookies in here, and it ain't me.
It could be ghosts. Who knows?
Who knows?
But I've speaking a little bit on the exorcism stuff. I've been revisiting a bunch of movies for an article I'm watching. Have you ever seen any of the VHS movies, Mike? They're like anthology films that are based around like found footage. New one just came out called VHS Beyond, and they did like VHS 85, 94, 99. There was like a trilogy before that. Have you seen any of these movies?
I have not.
So they're really good. They're really just like down the line horror movies, and they're basically like the conceit of it. It's an anthology, so each movie's like 4 or 5 different short films, all in like the found footage genre. But I'm rewatching the first one, and I forgot about this segment all along. It's one of like the best ideas I've ever seen. It's these kids, they're just out joyriding, and they have their camera, they're out videoing. They end up like at this weird house, and it's like this strange cult. They walk in and they see this cult doing like these weird rituals and stuff, and they're just like trying to creep out, and they see this girl that they're getting ready to like sacrifice. And they're like, what are we gonna do? We gotta like save this girl. So they save the girl, put her in the back of the car, start driving away, running away. The cult members are all chasing them crazy. It's all insane. Then come to find out that cult was actually performing an exorcism on this girl. So then she turns into like this crazy demon and just murders all the dudes that stole her.
Fuck that.
It was pretty great. Pretty great idea.
That is a good idea.
You don't always want to be the hero. I think that is the point that this VHS anthology segment is trying to say. Sometimes it's better to just let bygones be bygones. We don't know what's going on in these weird cult houses.
I know. He agrees.
Mike agrees with me.
So let's get on here past like Ghosts and Demons. Oh, by the way, one underrated movie that has to relate to that and is called The Monster Project. Have you seen that movie?
I have not seen The Monster Project.
You should look that up. It's The Monster Project. It's actually, it's an underrated movie.
Okay.
So you should check it out. We're going to get into serial killers. So, that Jeffrey Dahmer series, bro. That dude, I watched it once, and I'm like, dude, I was getting like my body temperature was raising up. Like I was starting to get like my feet were cold, my head was cold. You know what I mean? I was starting to get the sweats. And I was just like, what the fuck? This is fucked up.
Yeah, that dude was off his rocker for sure. He was nuts. They executed him, right? He's dead now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to keep people like that alive any longer.
We certainly do not.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. If you have any more thoughts on the series, I watched it as well. A lot of that stuff feels more, I don't know what, like exploitative than, like entertaining to me. I like the like true crime, like documentaries and stuff that kind of like talks to survivors and goes in like that series was just like really dark, really grim. It was also like way too long. Like we don't need 10 hours of, just feeling like a gut punch. There's a new one made by the same creator about the Mendez brothers. Have you watched that one at all?
I'm trying to. I got her on the list there. Whenever I
I don't know. It's really frustrating when like you have stories like this. Like the Mendez brothers is the one I'm thinking about specifically, where the only people alive to tell the story are the people that committed the murders. You know what I mean? And I understand that can be really interesting to watch, but at the same time, like, these two kids like murdered their parents at like 18 and 22. Like they could also be lying about stuff. I'm not saying they are. I know it's a very touchy subject, and a lot of people are very on the side of the Mendez brothers right now. I don't really know what to say about it. I think that the show anyway is like pretty terrible in their depiction of the whole thing. And whether or not the Mendez's brothers like actions were justified, I mean, or even if the punishment they've had fits the crime. But the Dahmer series was, I think, one of the more, just to kind of like put a bow on that, was one of the more like gruesome series I've seen. And I don't think it did a good job of being like a tribute to the victims. It was more, I would prefer it if it had been a fake story inspired by, instead of like using these real world people for, these real life tragedies for monetary gain, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I feel like a lot of those, that's what people have to keep an open mind when they watch these streaming documentaries like Netflix and Peacock and stuff like that, HBO Max and stuff. Just keep an open mind. Understand that it's based on facts, but it's also fabricated to push ratings and to hit. That's all it is. You got people in there. It's for entertainment. But You want to know what my thoughts are? We're going to talk about one specific serial killer. We're gonna slap some knowledge out there because I didn't even know about this until just recently here.
Uh-huh.
Our friend here, Michael, when they he's based on a legend.
Okay.
He's based on an actual serial killer. So back in 1912, a boy that was conceived. Well, was, in the hospital back then.
He
They
was conceived in the hospital or
no,
was
no,
born
no,
in the
no. He
hospital?
was born. Yes, he was given birth in a hospital. He was born in a hospital.
Yeah, I got what
Yada
you're
yada yada.
saying.
So he came out. Well, the hospital fucked up the babies and
Yeah.
gave the parents the wrong fucking baby.
Oh.
Yeah. So that baby went to another parents, and then the other parents got that baby. So we were swapped out, and then, well, that the other parents got in an accident, and all three of them died,
How,
and they
how
had
did they?
no. Well, they don't really go into say like how they were able to. The unnamed family perished in a car accident on their way home from a hospital.
Oh, okay.
Soon, the Sturs discovered the baby they came home with was not there. So they acknowledged. So they died on the way back from the hospital with the fucking kid. And the hospital calls the Sturs up, the Stur family, saying, "Hey, we fucked up. This isn't your baby. The baby that was yours was killed in a car accident with them."
And this
So
inspired Michael Myers?
hold on. So
Okay.
yeah, so that those parents back then they got resentful. They were brokenhearted that their kid died in the other one because of the fucking hospital. So they treated
Sure.
this kid like dog shit.
Oh.
And then so all the way what is it? They treated her. They treated her like the Sturs family had a daughter named Susie a few years later, and they treated her like a precious gift while continuing to abuse said Stanley. So eventually, even young Susie contributed to the abuse. So even his sister I don't know what kind of abuse, but it was very. They began drinking to numb the pain of the realization that they lost their son and began to abuse him. So I don't know what kind of abuse it was, but around Halloween in 1923, Stanley desperately wanted to go trick-or-treating. However, because Susie also did not want to go, he was forced to stay home. That night, Susie was allowed to go party while Stanley suffered alone in his room. Apparently, Stanley then snapped, and he waited for Susie to come home before grabbing a butcher's knife and stabbing her, both her and their parents to death. He stayed in the house with their dead bodies and went trick-or-treating the next day. While out trick-or-treating, he encountered a group of kids that made his life hell at school. So he attacked them with the butcher's knife as well, killing some and wounding others. Someone ran to call the police, and when they finally found Stanley, he was swinging on a swing set, eating his trick-or-treat candy.
Wow.
So,
Don't mess with that kid.
Stanley was then sent to a psychiatric hospital.
As one should be.
They could find nothing wrong with him. He was just evil. 13 years after he was admitted to the hospital, he escaped by snapping the necks of the orderlies who were in charge of him. At this point, he stood 6'4" and had superhuman strength. Another orderly reported his escape, and the police attempted to stop him in the facility's parking lot. They tried shooting him, but their bullets hardly slowed him down. He apparently walked off into the night and never to be seen again. Some claim to have seen Stanley to this day. That seems a little far-fetched, but obviously, like back then, that was at 1923, 13 years later.
Yeah.
You're in 1936. So, he probably found some fucking adrenaline shots or something, maybe whatever they had back then. Maybe hit himself
just
up.
do meth right off the rip.
I don't know what goes on back in the 30s, man. But
Wild time.
Dude, that's a good base. I mean, it's basically what old old Mike was up to back then.
Yeah, that
So,
is essentially his story.
but yeah, case. That's an actual case file.
I
So
wonder. I wonder how many babies were like swapped at the hospital that people just don't know about. I wonder if that happens a lot.
I I don't know. Sometimes my buddies feel like I was born down in 3 Mile Island.
It could be.
Just based on the fact that I hardly ever I I have never had anything wrong with me. I mean, besides like, shit later, but I mean for more. But anyways, um, that's neither here nor there. So let's continue. Let's get off the track here of serial killers, so we have something to talk about next year's episode.
Sure.
Let's get into some classic Halloween movies. So I got some good ones here. Ernest Scared Stupid.
That's a good one for the whole family. I think
Yes.
those are the kind of flicks that you want to introduce your kids when you're getting them into the Halloween, the horror movies before you ratchet them up to the Halloweens and the Friday the 13th or
Yep.
whatever. Start them off with some Ernest Scared Stupid,
Some Hocus Pocus. The original Hocus Pocus. That was a good one. The second one was absolutely trash.
Never saw the second, I don't believe.
Yeah, so like those two, Nightmare Before Christmas, I feel like that's more of a kids movie too.
Certainly a kid's movie, yeah.
Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin Patch.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one for kids. And then when you start getting into the teenager years, you get Monster Squad, you get Ghostbusters. You got any other ones, like any of that other pop culture?
There's a newer one that came out a few years ago that I really like called Hubie Halloween. It's an Adam Sandler movie that's on Netflix. You don't like that one? Oh, I think that's a really fun, like it's, just it's not really a scary movie. It's a Halloween movie.
Yeah, that's a teenager. Yeah. That's a teens movie.
Preteen, I think. I think
yeah.
Adam Sandler's humor probably skews more tween than teenager. Yeah. But I think too, when you get to like the preteen teenager age, that's when you can start introducing them to, Scream and Halloween and kind of that stuff too,
Yeah, like around like 15,
12, 13.
Oh, really? Oh, I would say around 15 or 16.
Okay. Well, like how old? So for me, I think the first like real horror movie that I saw that wasn't like edited on TV was Scream, and I was probably like 12 years old when I saw that. And that seemed like pretty appropriate for me at the time. I don't think there's any nudity, and like the kills are pretty mild in comparison to like what you're seeing today, even like back then a little bit.
I would have to say it would have to been, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. It would have to be, or 3 weeks ago, it had to be Bram Stoker's Dracula was my first horror movie back in '93.
Oh, wow. That's a big one. That's a lot to like put on it. Not even
I was in third grade.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like there's a lot going on in that story, and there's a lot of like weird themes. There's a lot of like sex in that movie too. A lot of boobies.
Yeah,
there's a lot of those. Winona Ryder was a snack, man. She's still a snack.
I know. Now that I'm older, I used to, when I was young, I was like, man, she's got some big tits. Now that I'm older, I'm just like, they're just pushed together. I could do that. I could push my belly together. But yeah, definitely go. But I feel like Ghostbusters is like a year-round movie for me.
Yeah, Ghostbusters is just a classic in general.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Yeah. I can't. Ghostbusters 2, I can't watch. I can only watch during Christmas time because that's a movie where it's based in Christmas.
Sure.
So
same with Lethal Weapon.
Yep, Lethal Weapon, Die Hard. But let's save those for 2 months down the road.
Yeah.
Let's get these people what they want, Joe. Some Halloween music, man. So obviously one of my top favorites is Thriller.
Yeah.
So maybe some Nights in White Satin.
I don't even know what that is.
By the Moody Blues.
The Moody Blues. Okay.
Yeah, look that one up. Write that down.
I'm writing it down.
Nights in White Satin. Little Alice Cooper. Oh, I also like to dig into like some of the movie music too. Like from Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Vampire Hunters. That's the only good one that I like from that. It's just like it's very eerie. It's got a vampirism to it. It's when they go and it's the background music to when they're going to burn his dirt and everything over at Carfax Abbey.
Okay.
Every Day is Halloween by Ministry. The Hurdy-Gurdy Man
Oh yeah.
by Donovan. Yep.
Yeah.
Obviously, Time of the Season by the Zombies. You got the main titles from the original Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue
Danny
Ulster
Elfman, right?
Cult.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. Season of the Witch, Donovan.
Yeah.
Midnight Monsters Hop by Jack and Jim. That came from Halloween Ends.
Oh.
And also Hunter's Moon by Ghost.
Oh, I like Ghost.
And then I like pulling...
Ghost looks a bit like Beetlejuice, you know?
Yeah, I like pulling a bunch of John Carpenter and like a lot of their music from these new Halloween movies.
Yeah.
A lot of them are pretty good. You can't go wrong with Thriller. Thriller is probably like the biggest iconic, the biggest iconic Halloween song.
Yeah, of course. I mean, incredible music video. What was it, like an 18-minute music video? It's kind of when like music videos were popping off when MTV was in the day.
My mom ended up buying the actual VHS music video.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
know. We're going the Monster Squad rap. So from the Monster Squad, dude.
Okay.
Dude, it's 90s rap. So you got to look it up. So if you have iTunes, look it up. It's called Monster Squad Rap.
Okay, I will check that out.
Yeah, definitely check that out. It's a good one. And then also from the Monster Squad, Rock Until You Drop by Stemage. STEMAGE. Also, Alice Cooper. You can't go wrong with Alice Cooper on Halloween. Feed My Frankenstein.
You also got a lot of Rob Zombie hits in there. He does a lot of horror adjacent stuff, right? Dragula and some other songs.
I got one last one for you here. So if you pick up anything, because I know I'm big into Rob Zombie too, but here's one last one. Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Do you have any ones that you'd like to put in there?
I think Rob Zombie is a great kind of like Halloween type of dude. Living Dead Girl, I think it's a very like horror adjacent. I think like Halloween in and of itself isn't as represented as maybe some other holidays. Looking at you, Christmas. Everyone makes a Christmas album and Christmas songs. There's not many like Halloween songs. There's kind of like horror adjacent songs.
You gotta go out. You gotta go out and make your own. Like people just pick up like, oh, when Halloween comes around, they just bring up the Halloween mixes and stuff like that Apple puts around.
Yeah,
but like they go out and pick their own stuff. But you get some personal ones in there that you pick from movies and stuff like that like really touch like Season of the Witch, Blue Oyster Cult with Don't Fear the Reaper. Like you don't like what else? Oh, even that song that I just put out there, like the Monster Squad songs, like those are good songs, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Hellraiser with Ozzy Osbourne and Motorhead.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I think you also kind of have everything by maybe not everything, but Nine Inch Nails is a pretty good like spooky kind of band. You mentioned Ghost there, but getting a little bit into talking about like Halloween scores, soundtracks. The Terrifier 2 soundtrack is absolutely incredible. There's a great track called The Equalizer. It's kind of used as the main girl's like theme. It plays every time she shows up. That song like absolutely kicks ass. It rules. Also, all of essentially every single thing that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross have ever touched. Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails. They've scored a bunch of movie for David Fincher. The two best I think are Gone Girl and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Those scores are absolutely incredible, and they're definitely like vibey Halloween aesthetic. Like they kind of like slowly build. And like create this sense of dread around everything. Those that pairing of artists just works fantastic together. So that would be my recommendations for like killer Halloween music, and I mean killer in the most literal sense.
Yeah. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe if you have any other suggestions that we missed, obviously there's the popular ones out there like the Monster Mash and all that type of jazz. But so how about some Halloween candy, Joe? I know this is a good topic. So I was born in the '80s, so like late '80s, '90s was trick or treating for me. I would have to say my worst candy has to be those fucking goddamn corn candy.
The candy corn.
Oh yeah, the candy corn and candied popcorn balls, and because they're so stale.
Yeah.
Tootsie Rolls. I fucking hated Tootsie Rolls, and I also hated lollipops. I fucking hated lollipops.
Oh, I never hated lollipops. You know, you definitely want name brand candy. That's the thing, right? When you're going trick or treating, you want the Reese's, you want the Snickers, you want, you know, there needs to be a Hershey's logo or a Mars logo on the side of that thing, or no, thank you. I don't need this candy. Candy corn's definitely, I don't remember like getting that in, you know, like while trick or treating. That seemed like more of a, here we have this bowl of candy corn from 3 years ago when no one ate it. Let's bring that out. But the worst, I don't think they even make this anymore, but that big like marshmallow circus peanut, it was like big and orange and always hard. Yeah. I don't need that doorstop, ma'am. You can hold on to that. We're not accepting that type of candy anymore.
You as a kid trick or treating.
I was outrageously precocious. Yeah. Like, no, I would prefer if you gave me a toothbrush or an apple. Like, I do not know what to do with this stupid marshmallow peanut. This is horrendous.
See, when I grew up, we lived up in the sticks, so we couldn't walk down the street. My mom would have to take us by vehicle from house to house.
So you guys were just driving around in a whip, going trick or treating?
Because it was out in the middle of nowhere. Well,
Yeah.
that plus like all the towns had like different trick or treating, so my mom would kind of take us to like almost all the other towns where we would all walk together. Like the town that was closest to us would be Likens, and we would go over there and then walk the street. Most of the time it was just like about Halloween parades. I remember when I was in Boy Scouts, and our theme was trees.
Okay.
Because we were part of a larger group about nature.
Okay.
So we're walking. I'm like, I remember it was. I remember this. This was probably one of the most painful Halloween costumes I've ever had to put in my entire life. My mom had this theory or this idea of getting a giant piece of cardboard, wrapping it around me, and then having a stick. So I would be walking with this fucking tree. You know, with the sticks, and then like I have no idea where the fuck I'm going. So she was like, it would be her and another adult just like escorting me around, and it, like I had like branches and shit like hanging out of this, and then also I'd have to go out into the fucking woods and peel the bark off of pine trees, and then fucking super glue each one on this enormous fucking cardboard. I'm like, do you understand? I'm like, what the fuck? I was
That sounds like the worst Halloween costume.
Do you want to know what's even worse? It wasn't my Halloween costume. It was just for the parade. You know what was the worst? You know what finished it off? Is that I stepped in horse shit in the fucking goddamn street.
Great. So now you're just smelling the whole time.
So I'm like, I stepped in this pile of horse shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I just kept on walking, and I was like, I think I stepped in something. No, just don't worry about it. We're almost over with. And I'm just like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough go of things.
But so like back to the Halloween candy, dude. I remember like, so right there when that was when people like the fucking sickos out there started fucking with the candy, and kids started cutting their fucking mouths and shit with fucking glass and sharp objects and shit like that. That's like the back end. That's like right there where we like our lives interchanged. So that's
Sure.
like right there. So that's when you started getting candy that was all wrapped up. I grew up with candy. When I dumped it out, it was all raw.
So you're
It was
just raw
like
dogging
not-
candy?
It was all raw dog candy without any wrappers or anything on it. Yeah, you just dump it right the fuck out on there. It's like, all right, well, I mean, I'll eat this chocolate morsel, and I guess I'll eat that, and I don't know. I guess throw the rest out because I ain't eating that fucking goddamn candy corn.
Yeah, that seems gross.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'll never forget. Was I've been in the first one. That's like something that you never forget in your entire life. This is your first time you bit into a piece of fucking candy corn. It's so fucking foul. Like I'm just like, ugh. That's probably why I don't really like hard candies along those lines, like
Yeah.
Skittles and shit like that. Like I'm not a big fan of them. You know,
All
but
back to the corn.
dude, the best candy is what you get when you come to the gulag. Dude, I give out like fucking candy bars and shit like that. I say one at a time. Some motherfuckers, they come over and they try to fill. Oh man, we got our food. They're trying, they got another thing coming this year. Just wait.
Yeah, we do the full size candy bars at our house. It's a nice treat for the kids. Actually, not going to be home for we weren't home for Halloween last year. We're not going to be home for Halloween this year, so we're probably not getting any trick or treaters. They're like, oh, these jerks handed out full size candy bars the first year and then never to be seen again.
Oh yeah,
Laying low.
Well, guess what? This year, the little I'm obviously going to take it. Mike and I here, we're going to take it easy on the little kids.
Yeah.
But those teenagers, when they come around, oh, they got another thing coming. His brother, his nemesis is coming out.
Laurie Strode?
Oh no! From the other movie series, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What?
Oh, dude, I'm coming out I got a leather face and a chainsaw. I'm coming out there and chasing these fucking kids down the goddamn street.
I mean, I understand that, but they never fought. He fought Freddy Krueger.
He's never fought Freddy.
Oh, I'm thinking Jason fought Freddy. Yeah. When did Mike Myers ever fought Leatherface?
No, but he's the other one. He's just,
okay.
It's only time.
Do a Myers versus Leatherface movie.
It's buying time. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be an awful. That would be an awful movie.
Yeah, it would be terrible, especially since like the thing with the Freddy Krueger and with Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason is those movies like pretty much started bad. The first movies were okay, but they weren't like great cinema. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is like one of the best movies ever made. Halloween is like one of the best movies ever made. Like they're up there. I mean, if you were to talk like top 100 American movies, like those two films are in there.
If they were to do a Michael Myers versus Leatherface, it would be horrible. Like what do you expect? Like I just feel like it would be a horrible movie.
It would not be good.
But let's get out of the movie because we talk about movies a lot. Let's talk about some Halloween destinations, brother.
Sure.
So the one thing that I have not done yet was go up to Salem, Massachusetts. Salem would be a good time. And I'm like, you know what the thing is? It's like right now, this time of year, this is their money-making season, and it's fucking packed.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it is like absolutely like riddled with people up there. It's also like a little weird, I think, to go to Salem. Like I understand there was the witch trials, but I mean those witch trials they're not really something to like celebrate. Like
no,
they were just like murdering women for no reason. It was like you can do math, like burn her at the stake. You're like,
I know, right?
This isn't like something we should be proud of in our past.
But it celebrates the folklore and stuff like that, and the history of you know what I mean. It just shows history. Like
it does.
You know what I mean? Like
you got to remember history so you don't forget it.
Exactly. Crystal Lake, New Jersey.
I really want to go there. They do a lot of stuff. I was looking it up earlier this year. They do like overnight camps. You can stay at the camp. They do like a screening of the movie. They feed you. Yeah, it looks really awesome. I'll definitely want to do a weekend up there.
Also, we talked about week 2 with Dracula's Castle. They do a lot of stuff, even though it's not actually Dracula's castle. It has nothing to do with Dracula. It's just the films and everything and the castle, and because it was Vlad the Impaler's castle.
Yeah.
That's why it is. They actually
That's probably even scarier staying in Vlad the Impaler's castle. That was a real dude that was messed up.
Like a lot of the castles weren't even that. Like that's Vlad the Impaler's castle.
Right.
The other castles that were filmed were in different
locations.
Areas. Yeah, different locations. Yeah. Frankenstein's castle.
Where is that? Where is Frankenstein's castle?
Oh man, brother! I know it's real, but I don't want to give out fake news.
Sure.
But it's definitely real, and it's just a castle that they use for film cinematography and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I feel like there's a castle. I don't know. You'd have to look it up. Frankenstein's. Yeah. It's an actual real castle that has nothing to do with Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But it's there. And then when we get into these, some good things like when I grew up, going to some of the zoos. Now I don't know how all the other zoos are in the States here, but here in Hershey, they have night zoo. So you go into the zoo and they have like all black lights, so you get to see all the night creatures and stuff like that when they're out at night.
Spooky.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like you get to see like all you go into the the bats and stuff like that, and then you go out to see the wolves and shit. Caves. Go into a cave. Indian Echo Caverns. I remember when I was a kid, we went to Indian Echo Caverns over here in Hershey, and they had it all blown out, Halloween themed, man. They had people dressed up as monsters, like just the original monsters, the classic monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein and stuff. And I'll never forget. That was a good time. It was like a cold October Friday night. And then we went into the caves and stuff. It was pretty cool. And,
nice.
So like definitely hit up a cave, like any type of cave here attraction that they have in the country. Definitely hit that up.
Just go spelunking.
Yeah, and then of course haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
So Penhurst Asylum is probably one of the better ones that I've been to, but
I haven't been to that one. I've heard it's pretty spooky.
It's spooky because it's like real life, but they added a lot of attractions and stuff like that to it. And it's pretty hard to get me fucking scared now that I'm like old.
I remember like for me, my brother and sister were a lot older than me, so obviously like they were able to do things like before I was. And growing up, like when I'm like 6, 7 years old, they would go to Jason's Woods every year. That was like the big one. And it was like such a big event. And I could not wait until I was old enough to go to Jason's Woods, which is, for anyone not familiar, just like a haunted hayride. But they have a couple, haunted attractions as well. And man, like I think it was my 13th birthday, I went to Jason's Woods and absolutely loved it. It was a blast. I will say the best one is at Universal Studios. In California, they do their Halloween Horror Nights, and the best attraction there at the Universal Studios in California, it's actually a working like studio lot, so they're typically filming during the day, all the lots, and they have a bunch of old sets. So one of the rides they have is the studio tour. It's about an hour long. You're on a little trolley, and you go by the Psycho house. You go by like the set of Nope. You go by the set of Jaws. Like all this stuff. It's really cool. Over Halloween, when they do the Halloween Horror Nights, that's set up, but they have it set up, at least last time I was there, set up as The Purge. So you are going through, on the tram, and, you'll go to like different sets and people will come out and scare you. But then at some point it just stops, and there's all these actors that like come and like, pull people off the train and then take them to some different set. It's really cool. They do a really good job with it. That would be my recommendation for the best haunted house.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fucking cool.
Pretty nuts.
Hershey has started doing an adult section for haunted. Like they started catching on to what Cedar Point and Universal and all that. So they're starting because they've been kid friendly this whole time, but to attract more adults, they've begun doing an adult section where like where you go in there and we were trying to do that this month. It just didn't work out with everyone's schedules and stuff. So it's disappointing. But man, me and my friends, we used to go and we go to a bar, get dinner, and then we would get fucking drunk at tailgate. Like we went to Penhurst, man, we got fucking hammered in the parking lot. And then I'm like, I got like beer. This is the first time I met my friend Kara, and like she's like, who is this guy? He keeps pulling beer out of all of his pockets. Like, where's he at? Looking, I had like a beer in each back pocket. I had beer in 2 front pockets. I had like 4 beers in my hoodie in my kangaroo pocket.
Yeah.
I even had a beer in my knit cap, like up top. And I smuggled them all in. I'm just walking through everything. I'm just like, well, just being nonchalant, just, normal. I'm not getting wild or crazy. I'm just drinking beer as I'm going through.
Yeah.
What was it? We went back to Jason's Woods. I could just walk in there and just hang out for a little bit and just pick up the whole feel. Maybe hit a hayride. That'd be it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's an experience. It's not like you're not really going to get scared. I
don't think I'm going into any of the other attractions. Like the hayride's a good thing, man. But man, did they reel in some that Field of Screams?
Yeah,
like Field of Screams is like one of the nation's top haunted attractions.
Yeah,
like
it's a big thing.
Attractions.
Typically, like at least I remember, like Jason's Woods. I haven't been there in over a decade, I'm sure. But I mean, you wait in line for like hours typically. Like they're only open like Friday, Saturday nights. Over this time, it's just
you gotta pay for those. You gotta pay for that VIP, brother.
Yeah, I'm not paying for a VIP. I'll just wait in line. I don't care.
Not me, man. I'm not dealing with the lines.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to deal with these fucking people. Half these people fucking smell.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's a horror in its fucking self.
Yeah.
But what else is a good one? Universal Studios Orlando has just came out with Dark Universe attraction of their new expansion of their park.
Yeah.
And that looks fantastic. And that's open year round.
Oh, really?
Yeah, year round. I mean, like you go in there, it's all their classic monsters, and there's a storyline to all of it. They got the werewolf roller coaster. They got a steakhouse where you go in there, and it's basically like a vampire's lair, and that's where you eat your steak and stuff like that. And like characters come up and like talk. And then they also have a bar in there where the monster hunters hang out.
Okay.
So like
grab some ale with them.
Yeah, so
Van Helsing.
Yeah, like you could sit there and like characters will come up and talk to you about how, like, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they got like the Mummy, and then they got Frankenstein. And it's all classic. Like it's all off the classic monsters. So they all look like that. So I feel like they're really trying to generate some enthusiasm for the Dark Universe. Which, by the way, I did watch the new Mummy again
with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and the acting, I feel like they could have picked a few better actors, but overall, I didn't feel like it was a bad movie.
It wasn't a bad movie. It was fine. It was like that was probably the problem, right? It was outrageously mediocre, and it's really hard to like start a franchise. I think that was just not a smart idea. I don't think anyone really wanted it. That was the thing, and audiences talk with their wild. They made it for like $300 million. Like you can't make movies. The Venom movies are doing it right. Like those movies suck. They're absolutely horrendous, and they make like tons of money at the box office because they're shooting them for like $100 million. Like you can make a mediocre movie for $100 million that has an IP attached to it, and then if it makes $300 million, it's a success. Don't pay Tom Cruise $50 million to be in your Mummy movie. Hire someone else, and it'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, brother, that's all I got to say for today for our Halloween special. You got anything, Mike? Nope. Hey, brother, here at the Gulag, be safe. Don't let nothing happen to you. And don't be eating any of that nasty fucking goddamn kernel corn candy or any of that nasty shit that we did. Have yourself a good time. And, hey, get laid.
Do that. Happy Halloween, everyone.